cameraman on. Okay, I'd like to call the Budget Review Committee to order. It's February 26, 2018, and we're at the Aldermanic Chamber, and it is 7:03 p.m. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Alderman at Large Laurie Wilshire, Vice Chair.
Here.
Alderman at Large Brian McCarthy.
Present.
Alderman at Large Michael O'Brien is present. Alderman at Large David Tenza. Here. Alderwoman at Large Shoshana Kelly is absent. And Alderwoman Jan Smith is also not present, absent.
And the chair.
Okay. And the chair, Alderman Richard Dowd is present.
Okay. Alderwoman Kelly has the flu and won't be with us this evening.
I mean, we'll miss her, but good.
Okay. First order of business is
Okay.
agenda, public comment.
Public comment. Public comment is none?
Well, we don't know.
Oh, okay. Nobody signed up, but okay.
Is there any member of the public or anybody that would like to speak on behalf of something that's
There
coming
you
on
go.
tonight's
All
agenda?
right.
Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Obi says no.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Deb Howes. I am a teacher in Nashua, reading teacher at Amherst Street School for the past 15 years. I'm vice president of the Nashua Teachers Union. The address I'll use is 7C Taggart Drive, and I'm here on behalf of the union president to speak in favor of the contract.
Sure.
Okay. I understand he sent you this letter, but I have copies in case you need it, if it hasn't been copied.
I talked to, or I communicated with Mr. Markku, and
Okay.
it is part of the record.
Okay, so it's already part of the
It's
record.
already part of the record.
So, obviously, our president heartily endorses this contract, and as vice president, I'm also endorsing it. It goes a long way towards starting to fix the problems we have keeping good teachers in this district and undoing years of lean budgets where we have sacrificed to try and help the city make its spending cap. Now we have to show our appreciation for those teachers who have given above and beyond every day to keep their students engaged, safe, and nurtured so that we can educate the whole child. We have to thank those people by starting to pay them in a way that keeps Nashua a great place where we can live and still support our families. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Communications?
From Tim Cummins, Director of Economic Development, reads an overview of the TIP program relative to Ordinance 18006. It has been referred to PEDC and Budget Review Committee on February 13, 2018. Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to accept and place on file.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to accept the communication, place on file. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have further correspondence from Adam A. Markku, President of Nashua Teachers Union, reason a statement of support for R 18008. Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to accept and place on file.
Okay. The motion is to accept and place on file. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Unfinished business.
There is none, Mr. Chair.
Okay. New business resolutions.
We have before us R 18008, approving the cost items of a collective bargaining agreement between the National Board of Education and the Nashua Teachers Union, Local 1044 AFT, AFL-CIO, from September 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2021, and related transfers.
Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you. I move to recommend final passage of R 18008. And could I speak to it, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. I appreciate this contract coming through with 4 years. I think it's reasonable. I agree with the speaker, Deb, who said we need to pay our teachers to stay competitive or we're going to keep losing teachers to surrounding school districts. I think it's imperative at this point in our city to make sure that we're taking care of our teachers who take care of and teach our students. So I'm going to wholeheartedly support this contract.
Okay, at this point, would members from the school department, Board of Education want to come up and give us an overview of the contract?
Good evening. Good evening.
Yep. The mics are a little different here. They're always live. You don't have to push the button.
Okay, all right.
Push the
evening,
button,
my-
it actually goes mute.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Jamal Mosley. I'm the superintendent of schools for the National Public Schools. And I'll talk in terms of an overview of the contract. I echo what was shared earlier around this contract. To begin with is that this is what I would call a very exciting time for the city. I think this contract brings a lot of, I would say, peace, but also it puts us back on the right path. To give you kind of some of the challenges that have taken place over the years, and there's no secrets here, is that these teachers at times during their tenure here their wages have not stayed competitive. If I can explain this without getting too technical, we've had teachers who are stuck what we call on steps, even though they have more years of experience on those steps. So I'm going to give you an example. For instance, we have teachers who are on step 5, but yet they have 12, sometimes 13 years of experience in the district. So they're not paid according to their years of experience, but based on their steps. Because those steps have multiple years, and in essence, we've had teachers who have remained on the same steps for close to 5, if not about 4 to 5 years. During that time, I know the city and the former administration have made some strides to try to compensate teachers in terms of their pay while staying underneath the cap, and there were other financial restraints as well that the district was going through. With that said, the teacher salaries in the city of Nashville have been pretty stagnant. And so what has happened in the district is, if I can just walk you through this, is that we've had new teachers come to our district. They're very excited. They bring a skill set. They work with us for about 4 to 9 years, but then they quickly realize that they're stuck on that step. And so because they don't see that advancement in terms of steps, they actually pursue and they go to other districts, and other districts who are willing to honor their years of experience or align their years of experience with the step. So using my example, we've had teachers who have been on step 5 but 12 years of experience leave our district to go to other districts and who will compensate them for 12 years of experience on step 12. So what's happened in our district is that as a result of that, can you imagine that the Nashville Public Schools has spent time investing in those teachers, professional development, teacher training, all of that, what I call human capital investment, has now, some other district has taken that and harvested it, and now they're using that. And so if I can use this analogy, it felt like the Tampa Bay Rays or the Royals of teaching, because the Yankees and the Red Sox, so to speak, of other districts were just taking our talent, and that was a real problem. So this contract puts us, I'd say, it's on the steps or the right track to try to rectify the steps compared to years of experience. I say it puts us on the right path because we still have a lot of work to do. This is the first, what I call, correction of that. 4 years down the road, we'll make another correction on that. And so I'm really pleased. I want to thank you to all the aldermen and to the mayor's office and to the leadership team. I wish that I could say I did all of this, but I didn't. And to you, thank you for everything that you've done in the negotiations and being who you are. Thank you. There are people working behind the scenes that they don't get credit for. There are people who are working tirelessly every single day. and they make the numbers work, and they say the numbers don't work. And so this contract is really, the product of a team, but there are leaders here. And I just want to thank Dan Donovan, Dana O'Gara, the assistant superintendents. I can go on and on for their work, because this is not easy. If you can imagine, you have about 1,000 people who have multiple years of experience, who are on multiple steps, to try to get all of these individuals to a pay grid that people understand, that they can accept, is by far pretty difficult, but yet honorable thing that our administrative team was able to do. Moving forward, I think and I believe that we didn't give anything away. I believe the teachers earned this. I believe that this is a step in the right direction in terms of retaining our teachers and our faculty. And I think this is an investment in what we believe in. And our belief is that, we want our kids to have the best. We don't want to hire new teachers every 3 years or 4 years. And that's been happening. So I really want to thank all those individuals in charge, and certainly, if there's some questions about the salary scale and how we're going to pay for it, I know Mr. Donovan would be more than happy to have that dialogue with you.
Mr. Donovan, did you want to add anything right now, or just be there for questions?
I'm here for questions.
Alderman McCarthy.
So, do I understand that basically what the contract does is replaces the old step table with a years of experience table, or?
Yeah, everyone's on the right step. There's more steps now. So basically we didn't take the old grid and just put everyone on the right step. That would have been unaffordable. So we have a larger number of steps now, but everybody is at least on the right step based on the years of experience.
What is the total budget impact of the changes? If nothing else changed in the school budget, what would the percentage increase be per year just to take care of this contract?
Well, the increase is like this calendar year, it's a 3.6% increase in the teacher salary. The teacher salaries are about 57% of our budget. So it's a 3.6% on 57% of the budget. Then it's 3% in 19, 20 it's 1.8, and 21 is 2.3.
So this year it'd be about a 2% increase probably?
You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All set, Alderman McCarthy?
Well, just, is the budget you've submitted, does the budget you've submitted already include?
The budget we've submitted for fiscal year, well, the budget we're in now, this budget year 18, keep in mind that these numbers are for all teachers. So for fiscal year 18, it's for all teachers. Some of our teachers are paid for by grants. So even though the number is 2.13 million, all of that won't go to the operating budget. Some of that will be going to grants. And we do have a reserve in the budget of about 1.7 million. And taking in attrition, this year, it'll be tight, but it'll be, hopefully we'll be able to find a slight difference that we'll see. And the number for next year, it is in the existing budget that we've passed on to the aldermen. The third year's a smaller number. I think that will actually be a good number for a budget. And fourth year is 4 years from now, so 3 years from now, so we'll see what happens. But it's a lower percent than the first 2 years.
All set, Alderman McCarthy? Yep. Any other questions? I just want to say that I was on the Board of Ed for 10 years, and I was involved in negotiations a number of times. And we have been trying to get rid of that step problem for probably 15, 20 years minimum that I'm aware of. And we always had, for whatever reasons, issues that we couldn't do it. So getting rid of the steps and going with years of experience is huge. It's a big step, and it's a good step. And I think it will resolve a number of concerns that the teachers have had being stuck over the years. And hopefully the overall contract serves them well on a four-year contract. Are there any other changes in the contract other than salaries that you'd like to address that are cost items?
Yes,
Mr. Donovan?
there is a change. It's really not going to affect the contract until the end of the contract, but there is a change to severance. Currently, severance calculation, it's a whole formula, but to simplify it, the new contract, at the end of the new contract, teachers with 20 years of experience will receive 40% severance, which is approximately what they get now. And then 10 to 19 years, if you retire from 10 to 19 years, you'll get 30% of your salary at the time, based on number of sick days. And then new hires, after that, no more than 20%. So we are reducing the cost of severance in future years. It really won't hit during this time period, but it will in future years.
Okay. The other question I have is, do you have a good set of guidelines in place to make the determination of years of experience? Well,
Yes.
Superintendent?
The answer to your question is yes, we do. We have some guidelines that we use to guide us in the direction of honoring years of experience. But when you're working in the teaching profession, years of experience can be a little bit of, there is some interpretation of that. So let me give you an example. Sometimes we had teachers who are guidance counselors, right? They work 4 years as a guidance counselor and then another 4 years as, teaching. So they may transition to another position. So do they have, 4 years of teaching experience, or do they have, 4 years of being a guidance counselor? Or is it a total of 8 years of a practice of an educator? So part of where we evaluate that is based on, the position they were in, the certification they had. So if they had a state certification in both of those positions, we would honor it as like a 4-year teaching position or something like that. We have individuals coming from different states, different organizations, the private sector, I'm thinking of, we used to call them Chapter 7066 schools, special education schools. So we look at that into, when we look at teaching experience, whether it's, in front of kids, certification, some of our individuals who work as nurses, they work as, I'm just kind of thinking at the top of my head, guidance counselors, coordinators. We certainly use what the certification, what they did in their practice, how they were supervised, the environment they were in, to evaluate the years of experience. What we don't want to do is we want to be careful, because we want to make sure that we have that expectation that we're honoring the same amount of experience for everyone. And so sometimes it can be a challenge, because you have people who have very different experiences. When I was a kid, when I had hair, I worked as a bike counselor for about a year, a couple of years. Now, is that teaching experience? No, I wouldn't honor that as years of experience teaching, but certainly those are the conversations we have. And I want to say that we have a very good relationship with the union, and we sit down and we work it out. I mean, we can sit there and say, okay, this person is looking for this teaching experience. That's not something we typically honor, or actually it is something we honor, and here are the reasons why. We don't usually get into too many discussions or debates or disagreements over those types of issues that you've raised.
So the only thing I would caution is making sure that you have equality. If you have two people with the same type of backgrounds and experience, that one doesn't get one amount of years and somebody another. Do you have a group? It sounded like you consult with a union. Do you have a set group that looks at experience and makes that determination, or is it up to one person? How is that determined?
We have HR that we work with. I'm part of that. The assistant superintendents are part of that. We also have union representation that we have that discussion. I like to think of it as a collaboration around that. The union also wants to make sure that the members are treated equitably as well. So that's why we do have that collaboration. In addition to that, anytime we do run across, and there's always a wild card out there, there's always someone that has an experience here and there. I meet with the union rep every single week, and we have these discussions. I also meet with my administrative team once a week to discuss these issues and to really make sure that we are function in a way that's equitable. I agree with you. You don't want to have one person, receiving $5,000 for someone who is not, and they have very similar experiences. We do a pretty good job with making sure we do that. Certainly, it's on a case-by-case basis as well. There are situations where we do have to make sure that they were teaching in a certified position as well. And sometimes there are individuals who have taken some time off, who worked in the private sector, who want to come back into teaching or experiment with teaching. And certainly, I'm just kind of putting this out there. I'm using the private sector. Like working 4 years at like Starbucks is very different than working in, a nonprofit teaching school or something like that.
So just as an example, if somebody worked in Nashua, say, for 4 years teaching and then went to another state, got their master's degree, and they came back here after 12 years of teaching, they would be put at 12 years with a master's degree? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Okay. Any other questions? No? Alderman Tenza.
Thank you. And if I could you just kind of let us know, one, how many teachers current teachers are going to be affected by these changes out of the 988 teachers? Do you have a sense of that?
How many that'll get,
How many will be affected by the steps? I assume some of the teachers will be at the top level, so they're not really affected, the newer teachers.
yeah, I'd say there's probably about, I'm working on that exact person-by-person thing right now, but there's about 33% of the teachers that are already at the top, so they won't really be affected. I mean, they'll get a step, but they're already at the top. But the adjustment people, it's probably about 40% of the teachers, I think, will get an adjustment of some sort based on getting them on the right year.
Sure. So that's a pretty significant portion of the employees.
Yeah, it is.
Of the teachers. And then can you, just looking at the salaries, you've said that these are more in line with what other districts are. The salary range of other districts, is it still lower or is it higher than other districts, or is it really, can you say? Do you have a sense?
It depends on, I don't want to give a generic, it depends on the district. So I know some of our teachers, and I'm looking back at you, I believe that the salary scale we currently have in front of you, I don't have it in front of me, maybe Dana, you can just quote me on this, I believe it's lower than Manchester. Some of our, it puts us on the path to being what I call competitive, but it certainly isn't going to rectify or make us, it's not going to be all in one contract. That's why, we're excited about trying to put us on the path of being competitive. We're hoping, and I'm pretty optimistic, that this will stop the tide of teachers leaving our district for other school districts that offer significantly more compensation based on years of experience. What was happening, and if you can only imagine this, that you are, I'm just at the top of my head, you're a teacher with 9 years of experience and you're on step 5. For the next 4 to 5 years, you're still on step 5. And even though you accumulate 13 years of teaching experience, you're still stuck on that step. And this is the first time, and Alderman Dow put it correctly. I mean, this was very difficult. And so, but the alignment, now teachers know that, okay, next year, I have 13 years this year. I know where I'm going to be next year at step 14. I'm just making that up. And that's something that hasn't happened in the district. No criticism or anything like that. It's just what it is. That I think the teachers, at least they know where they're going to be financially, and they can plan accordingly. So I think that's very exciting.
All set? Or-
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just have one thing, I can't remember. Okay, so this first year, the 3.6%, that's going to be part of your incoming budget request?
Well, no, that's the year we're in
Part-
now,
So,
so I gotta deal with that this year.
so you have to come up with that funding. So the impact on the budget you're gonna come in with is, for this year, for next year's budget is 3%?
Right, that would be the maximum number. Keep in mind, some of that will be charged to grants, and I'm working on all those numbers right now to get them exact. The other thing is as we have different teachers, this contract was done with last year's teachers. So the fiscal year 19 contract will be done with next year's teachers. So you're going to have that teachers coming in, teachers going out, that attrition calculation. So it's not going to be any higher than that. It's only going to be lower than that when the final. But in the budget that we've put together right now that, you'll be seeing soon, that's the fiscal 19 number.
Okay. So the motion on the floor, unless somebody else has any, motion on the floor is to recommend to the full board final passage of R 18-008. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I will state that Alderman O'Brien had to recuse himself, he don't even say anything, because he has a member of his family in the bargaining unit. Okay, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having us, and
And,
thank you
the
for the
next step-
support. Thank you.
The next step in this process, it will be going to the full board. Alderman McCarthy, is that on tomorrow's agenda? I don't know if I have, okay. So if it's not on tomorrow's, we'll let you know, but it's probably 2 weeks from now.
Until the minutes are done before putting something on the.
Yeah, because normally we're under a 30-day constraint. So it would be not tomorrow's meeting, but 2 weeks from tomorrow. That'll be full board. All right, thank you. Okay, next order of business is 018-006, which is the TIF, and I have a request from Director Cummings to table this until our next meeting, because it has to have a public hearing, and they want to do this all in one shot. My suggestion is to the members of the committee to attend the public hearing, so all your questions are answered on the TIF. If that's not a problem with anyone, I need a motion. All right, motion by Alderman Wiltshire to table 018-006. Any discussion? Alderman O'Brien?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't, it's like you say, there's another hearing. I just want to get the date out there. It'll be a public hearing on 3/6/18 at 7 PM in the automatic chamber.
Very good, thank you. So all in favor of the tabling? 018-006, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It'll be tabled to our next meeting. General discussion? Don't see any. Public comment? Nope. Remarks by the Alderman? No non-public requirement. Do I have a motion, Alderman Wiltshire? Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned at 7:32.